Alright guys, welcome to your first homework assignment, and we'll do our homework like this for the entire year. Please make sure you do not skip these assignments because they will help you with tests and quizzes. Okay, so we're going to go to page 92 of your student journal, and we're going to do exploration 1, and we're going to do letters A through D, and then we're going to jump to page 94, and we're going to do all of the vocabulary. I will be checking for this in your notebook, so make sure you tear these pages out and put them in your notebook. So our first question, it says, use dynamic geometry software to draw any triangle and label it A, B, and C. Okay, so the key things here is this question wants us to use a dynamic software and draw any triangle and label it A, B, and C. So I'm going to show you a software that I like to use that I think is pretty simple and straightforward. So you're going to go to Google and you're going to type in GeoGebra. And you're going to click on where it says geometry at. Then you're going to go up here to where it says show axis. We're going to show axis, and then we're going to click right here and we're going to tell it to show major grids. Alright, so once you show the major grids, you're going to go over here where it says segment at, and we're going to draw that triangle that it said to draw, and it's going to automatically label it A, B, and C for us. Alright, so there's our triangle. Now you're going to go down here and select edit, and you're going to select the objects. Then you're going to go and highlight the objects you want to select. And then right click. Select it again. Oops. Select it again. And then you are going to go right here and tell it to duplicate. And there you go. You have your duplication. Now let's go back to our directions and see what it says. Now it tells you to copy the triangle and translate or slide it from to form a new figure and called an image triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Alright, so we're going to go back here, and it kind of translated it for us, but I'm going to go click on this where it says move. And this was on top, and then I'm going to just move it right here. I'm going to go click in here. I'm going to double click on this, and then I'm going to click where there should be more twos. I want to change the lettering there, redefine. Oops, let me cancel that. I want to change this to where it says A prime, B prime, C prime, so you can see what these actual primes are. Let me cancel that. Let's go down to settings. Okay, there we go. So we're going to put the prime there instead. So label, okay. Then I'm going to go to this one. Oops, cancel. And I'm going to go right here. I'm going to go down to settings. And I'm going to call that A prime. And I'm going to go over here, click on this one, and change it to B prime. I'm going to change the name. B prime. Alright, so the original one is what we call the pre-image. And the other one that has the primes on it is called the image. So this is your pre-image and this is your image. Those are vocabulary words you need to make sure you know. All right, so we did the directions for the second one. So let's go ahead and go to the third one. It says, what is the relationships between the coordinates of vertices of A, B, C and those of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime? So we want to see what is the relationship between these vertices. Well, let's go see. So if we look here, give me a second. Let me annotate this desktop. Okay, so if we look here, then we already know this over here is called our pre-image. And over here is called our image. And it asks me, what's the relationship? So if I look here, let's see what happened. Well, I noticed it's a slide. The figures are the same. So what we performed here is called a rigid transformation. And I know it's a rigid transformation because if I take the pre-image and put it on top of the image, it would be exactly the same. We changed positions, but we did not change the size or the shape of the object. And we did what we call a translation. We did a slide. Now, how did we go about doing this slide? Well, let's look. If we take C, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we went 7 to the right, and then we went down by 1. So we're going to say 7 to the right, and we went down 1. 7 to the right, down 1. Okay? Now, let's check and make sure that happened for all of them, just to make sure it's a translation. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we went down 1. So 7 to the right, and we went down 1. Let's check B. We went, I'm going to do that on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 to the right and down 1. So for B, from B to B prime, we went 7 to the right and we went down 1. So now, how do I notate that? So if I notate that in vector form, I can write my little vector sign where the first position tells me whether I'm going left or right. So we say 7 to the right, and then I write comma, and then I'm going to say I went down by 1. So this means to the right, and this means it went down. So this tells you if you go left or right. This one tells you whether you go up or down. This is what we call the horizontal component of the vector, and this is called the vertical component of the vector. Okay, so that is the relationship between the pre-image and the image. So we're going to go back to our book, and we're going to write the relationship is it went 7 to the right and down 1. So you can write in words 7 to the right, down 1. And those points are vertices. A matches A prime, A matches A prime, B matches B prime, and C matches C prime. So there's your information for C. Now D says, what do you observe about the side lengths and the angle measures of the two triangles? Well, if we go look at it again, we notice they shouldn't change. If I take this and put it back on top like we already showed, nothing changes. The angles do not change and the length of the sides do not change. So that's what we're going to write here. Angles do not change and length of sides do not change. So only thing changed here is position. That's it. Same shape, just in a different spot on the grid. And you are done with exploration 1. Okay, so now let's go hit up some vocabulary words. What is a vector? Well, a vector, it looks something like this. It has a start point and a end point. So it has what we call a starting point, and out here is the end point. And a vector is written in parentheses like this, where this part, well, kind of not parentheses, but this part right here is always going to be the horizontal component. And this part here is what we call the vertical component. And that means this goes left or right, and this one goes up or down. And you could tell with the numbers, okay? The initial point is the starting point of a vector. Like this piece right here, this is the starting point, okay? Now let's go to the next word. Is a terminal point. The terminal point is the end of the vector. Or terminal means to stop. All right, that's that piece out here, end of the vector. All right, and as I just told you, a horizontal component is the horizontal movement of the vector, okay? That would be the first number. All right, so if I wrote this as A and B, this is what we call the horizontal component, and this is the one that the left or right movement of the vector. Okay. Next is the vertical component. That would be the second number, which is the up or down movement of the vector. Okay. And component form is just the A, B, with the vertical component and the horizontal component put together. And make sure you put these brackets like this. It almost looks like a less than and a greater than sign. Okay, let's keep going. Transformation. A transformation means to change an object. And depending on the type of transformation, certain things happen. So a transformation can mean it can be rigid or non-rigid, and the one we're going to focus on is rigid, which is the translation for right now. And we already know if we have a rigid transformation, that means that the object does not change its shape or size. That means that the angles in the objects do not change and the length of the sides of the objects do not change. That means you should be able to take that figure and put it on top of its image. You should be able to take the pre-image and put it on top of its image if this is a rigid transformation. An image is the starting picture of a transformation. It's the starting picture of a transformation. For example, like what we did in our exploration, A, B, C, and it normally doesn't have any primes on it. That is called, I'm sorry, it does have the prime on it. I'm sorry, kids. The image does have the prime on it. It's actually not the starting figure. It is the ending figure of the transformation. All right, it's the ending figure of the transformation. And it does have the primes on it. This is the one with the primes. Okay? So now if we go and talk about the pre-image, this is the one that does not have the primes. A, B, and C. And this one is called the starting picture. And if you get it, it's the word pre, before. And we would label this triangle A, B, C. All right, a translation simply means to slide a figure without changing its angles or lengths of its sides. That's a translation. It means to slide. And if you see the word here, SL kind of can help you remember slide. Okay, rigid motion means exactly the same thing. It means to preserve, angle, and segment lengths. That's what rigid motion means. And an example of a rigid motion is a translation. So composition of transformations means to do multiple transformations to an object. And I think we are finished with vocab. Let's check. Yes, you are. Okay, so make sure you get this in your notebook, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.